Hey everyone, this is Cameron, the co-host and editor of Renegade Animation on renegadepopculture.com. If you like what we do, please give us a like, a follow, and a rating on Apple Podcasts, or give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, or wherever you listen to us. We are where podcasts can be found. And if you can, consider supporting our Patreon. That way we can keep doing what we love, and that's talking about the wild, extremely exhausting world of animation. We've been gone for a little bit, and the industry and fandom cannot stand still for 2 weeks while we're on vacation. Anyway, on with the show.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host this evening. Joining me, as always, is the animation guru himself, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
And, of course, everyone's favorite Crazy Lemur, Bree.
Hello.
And yes, we've got a great show for you tonight. We are talking about two different but also kind of similar animated films. Well, one of them is a film, Another World, and the last two episodes of the Amazing Digital Circus. But first, it has been a while since we've talked about the world of animation, so Cameron, what has been happening lately since we've been gone?
Well, by golly, Mike, where do you start? Well, there was that new teaser trailer for the new Ice Age movie, which a lot of thoughts about that happening still, without Blue Sky Studios. It was fine. A few more indie pilots came out, which we'll talk about in a later indie animation-focused episode. A lot of announcements, a lot of pickups from Con. The new live-action adaptation of Look Back got a teaser today, which is being directed by Hirokazu Koreeda, who is just a wonderful filmmaker. Look up his work. Shoplifters, Broker, just great stuff. So I'm excited about that. A lot of bullshit, though. We would try to tell you to spin the wheel of bullshit.
But it fucking broke.
Yeah, it broke. It don't work right now. So, we don't even want to use the sound bite, because it's busted. So, we're late on this, but I feel like we still have to talk about it, because while everyone else is quick to forgive and forget, I feel like that's a big problem, especially with the fact that a few weeks ago, Jorge Gutierrez, among a few others, were trying to join up with Amazon for this initiative to make AI-generated TV animation for streaming services. And at the very least, one of the three projects that got greenlit was against the creator's own will because they lost the rights to their own character to BuzzFeed because BuzzFeed fucking sucks. So I'm willing to forgive her for being having no freaking idea or why they took her character and it's we're gonna make AI pig slop with it.
I mean, that's basically what happened with what they tried to do with Chicken Nugget.
Yeah, just BuzzFeed, you suck. And unfortunately, the biggest name on that trio was Jorge Gutierrez, Mr. I was highly against generative AI taking over animation and the human form of art until I got a big fancy fucking paycheck, just like all of these other celebrities that for some reason are yo, man, AI is coming. We can't do nothing about it. We might as well sleep in bed with it. And everyone's like, who paid you?
Just be honest about it, dude. We could be mad at you, but let's just see, how much the bag is. So we can decide how mad we are.
Exactly. Well, it's also the whole Riyadh Comedy Festival last year. And it's just okay, some of these guys are desperate for an audience because they have no comedic career anymore outside of Manosphere podcast bullshit. Fine. Whatever. Some of those people on that roster did not need to be there and have retroactively ruined their whole reputations. Bill Burr, and others who just didn't really need the money, honestly, unless they're just not keeping their finances well spent or are just the biggest grifters or sellouts. Jorge basically sold out. And then
not only did he sell out, he, like, here's, like, the crazy thing, is, like, a few days beforehand, he was on a panel with Dana Terrace and some others at MomoCon. So, you hear that? Beep, 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 fucking bus rolling over them.
Pretty much, and then made a really gross joke about it, about being like, it's just like having sex, and then the baby's already there, which, a lot of layers to break down that horrific analogy, but we don't have the time or space for it, or the energy for it, because by God, was that exhausting to try to be like, Jorge, do you not know how horrible that analogy is?
But here's, like, the crazy thing is that, and I gave you the statistic numbers that I have from, like, Ouya, is that so much of the animation industry is a fucking, like, sausage fest, and, like, this type of stuff is just fucking okay, and if anyone follows me on Blue Sky, which, by the way, I highly recommend, I kind of broke this down more in my thread, so if you want a more nuanced conversation about that, I would suggest kind of picking up on that. It's just, it sucks that this kind of behavior is just, like, so normalized that I'm not even shocked.
It's just, like, not only the manosphere misogyny bullshit within the animation industry, but just the fact that so many celebrities and people with influence in their entertainment industry are so ready and willing, and whether it's because of their own ignorance or their agents being like, yo, do you want this fat stack of cash? And all you gotta do is sell your soul to Satan and these AI companies who are obviously trying to avoid the bubble bursting, which is happening right now, and realizing how AI is bullshit. But, Bree, you got some numbers for us. Tell us.
Here's the thing about, like, Jorge's, like, whole speech about bringing jobs back to Los Angeles. I do want to give you some numbers, and this is from WES, Women in Animation, the organization I volunteer for. Alright, I'll just do it the abridged version. I'll just do it from the Animation Guild. Alright, so this is from the Wikipedia article. So the Animation Guild, which is IATSE Local 839, is a union representing over 4,000 animation artists. So a pretty big organization, right? And based on its data, and this is from 2015, and then I'm going to go into the later years, 20.6% of guild workers were women. And then that number increased to 23.2% in 2016, and then finally hit the quarter milestone of 25.6% in 2018. So, I mean, on the surface, that seems like pretty fucking good, right?
It sounds good, but there.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the but.
It's the Arrested Development thing. Let him finish.
Yeah, let him finish. Okay, while there appears to be a rising number of female professionals in the industry, a closer look into the 2015 statistics in key areas of animation only shows that 1% of women were art directors, 3% were directors, and 5% were writers. And then as of 2019, the number of female executives in animation had risen to more than half and 39% in TV. However, female directors make up 3% of animated films and, wait for it, while women of color only make up 1%.
Ooh.
Yeah! So, let me just pose a question to you. Who do you think AI is going to affect the most? This is a really tough question.
Gee, I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder. And not just that catchy song from Official Hige Dandism. Makes you wonder. Make me wonder. Jorge, you should know this more than anyone, that to get more jobs back in Hollywood, back in California, you gotta find a means to fight to bring back productions into the US. Whether it's tax credits, tax incentives, tax breaks, and maybe a wonderful, whimsical concept. I mean, this is mind-blowing concept, y'all. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say this. You greenlight shit!
Oh my god, Cameron, that's just too controversial. Like, oh my god, we have to spend money to make money? What kind of... fuckery are you talking about?
It's witchcraft. Burn me at the stake. I don't care.
But just to kind of get back to it, it's like crazy because I've read this in a couple places. Usually among like animation and art school, the highest percentage of students are women or like non-gender specific, aka not cis guys. So when you already have like the cards stacked against you in that way, and then you add this bullshit on top of it. So when you're already in an industry that already has like a deep bias against you, and then you have this bullshit put on top of you, it's like, I just want to walk off the edge of a cliff.
And then listen, dude, if you remembered, when the Jimquisition was at its peak prime, when it was talking about the lack of quality control in Steam releases, one of the biggest things that they talked about at all times was if you're met with bad press, 1, you don't fight back against it, 2, you don't delete comments, and 3, you don't double down on your nonsense if you got called out for using asset flips, grifts, whatever. Jorge, instead of doing A, backing out the moment this was announced, 2, not doing it in the first place, took option C and decided to double, triple down
trying to post through it, which works every single time. Clearly, that's the best method is to post through it, because that works all the time.
And then, you know what happened? No, not just a Wildwood trailer came out. The I Am Frankelda trailer came out.
Oh, yeah.
Can I bring up the best part about all
yes,
this?
Please do.
So, for those who don't know, acclaimed filmmaker Guillermo del Toro was a producer on Jorge's film The Book of Life. So that kind of implies a bit of a, if not friendship, then at the very least, a pretty solid working relationship. But I noticed that he was on social media praising these trailers and definitely throwing shade at Jorge for his involvement in...
Yeah. Jorge got subtweeted. If I got subtweeted by Guillermo del Toro, I would just straight up fucking kill myself, because I would never recover from that.
Nope.
And what were those precious words that basically burned Jorge's reputation to the ground with these trailers? These are created by human artists. And you can say that's just Guillermo del Toro being Guillermo del Toro and praising the love of human-made crafts. It just happens to be a little timely, and what a coinkyding that he decides to post this right when Jorge is doubling down, telling people to fuck off about him taking the big sack of money from Amazon.
And here's the other thing. The people that were defending Jorge, I'm not going to get too intimate, but I think Right for Animation, because I don't want to say anything defamatory, I just think it's personally a ripoff. I'm not saying that Pietro's personally a scammer. I just don't think the model is very fair and honest and inclusive to newer writers, but that's aside the point. But Cameron, some of your favorite people were defending him too.
Yeah.
And you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. And listen, okay, so how to get this next part rolling. So within even 24 hours, and I'm sure a heavily smackdown phone call from Guillermo del Toro, Jorge decided to basically say, hey, I'm backing out, I'm sorry, I'm still learning, which is, the whole flimsy, half-ass YouTube apology way of saying I messed up, and I'm going to take only 1% of responsibility for it.
All right, but here's the thing.
Minus ukulele part, so.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing that really makes the ukulele out of tune. So, upon further research, apparently he also tried to do NFTs when those were a thing, and he had a similar thing happen. So it's dude, you've learned this fucking lesson before. You just didn't give a shit.
And then after his flimsy apology and everyone was like, oh god, okay, he's sorry everyone, back away now.
We won. Back.
And I would accept his apology if it didn't come off like he backed out of that apology and tried to justify why he got into the deal in the first place by saying, well, everyone in the industry's using it, but I guess I'm the bad guy for using it. And it's like, so many animation people in the industry clapped back at him so hard that he deleted that video. And he was also deleting any nasty, mean comments. And listen.
And also, like, I think one guy, he was, like, stalking on LinkedIn. It was like, dude, like, take the L and go home. Like, what the literal fuck is wrong with you?
Like, dude, you have your I, Chihuahua movie in the works overseas. You have one show being worked with Disney, apparently. You have the possible chances of an El Tigre revival. And you're working on a Speedy Gonzalez movie for Warner Brothers. Either you're not handling your finances, they're canceling all those projects, and not just because of your tantrum. Like, why did you need to take the money? I'm sorry, it's not a good enough apology now that, like, it's going to take time to regain that trust. And until you're actually really sorry about basically throwing everyone under the bus.
And you know what? Here's like my thing. I'm gonna be pissed at him for a long ass time. I may never forgive him. But he's not the true person that I'm mad at. I'm mad at all y'all who just accepted it at face value and have the biggest fucking double standard.
Because let's be real here. If this was anyone else, aka not a guy, y'all would have not been quite so forgiving.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Like, if this was Vivian Medrano, she would literally be the human sludge at the bottom of the Titan submersible. Like, there would just be nothing left but atoms.
It's frustrating. You knew this was a bullshit grift from tech people who realize that they're worthless in this day and age. You know that it's not going to actually bring back jobs. But you still took the money, even after standing against it. What are you doing? What are any of these people doing? And then they're just hoping that people forgive them. Like, I'm not over Demi Moore talking her bullshit AI puke at the Cannes Film Festival, while next to Chloe Zhao and Park Chan-wook, who are just looking at her like, what the hell are you talking about, lady? Like, you were literally part of one of the horror breakouts of the 2020s that was all about you being replaced by a younger model.
The irony.
You cannot be this stupid. Just say, hey, I went to an AI luncheon and got paid a lot of money to stand for this shit. Just like all those celebrities who got sued after the whole cryptocurrency crash. I didn't know what I was doing. Bullshit. You got paid a lot of money to grift. And I get it. Like, listen, I understand. Hollywood is on fire right now because it's full of people from Silicon Valley and Wall Street who are pants-shittingly scared to greenlight anything new or original and not play it safe because we got royally wrecked over by the economy and the Hollywood industrial complex's constant weird need to make $1 billion with every movie or else everything tanks. This whole industry is asinine. It's asinine. And I don't really accept Jorge's apology yet. It's going to take forever. It's probably going to damage his reputation forever. I don't know if I want to see him as like a guest anywhere animation-wise. I don't know if I want to see or talk about his work for a while. This is damning. It's just amazing that so many people were like, well, he said he was sorry, except he wasn't. And
like,
probably
not even 24 hours later.
And like all these people who are now saying like, yeah, I'm not actually interested in AI are just saying that now because they got caught and got a lot of negative pushback.
Yeah, they got their hand caught in the cookie jar.
Basically, to quote Drake and Josh, I'm sorry I got caught, but I'm definitely going to do it some more.
I mean, and there's so much other things to talk about. I know we just went on this tirade about how people grifting for AI aren't actually sorry. Because it's just like, what? There's so much nonsense going on. There's a whole threat of the Avatar series leak being hung over our heads because apparently hackers can't do anything more worthwhile. No, don't get rid of the student debt. Don't get every single corrupt politician behind bars. No, leak a cartoon to the internet.
It's just like such Super Weenie Hut Jr. bullshit. It's like, come on.
No, it's not just Weenie Hut Jr. bullshit. It's Mega Weenie Hut Jr. bullshit. You cannot tell me that you guys can't do anything better. Or it's like any time now that like Anonymous is like, we have important, groundbreaking, historically life-altering information that could take down Trump or anyone else. And it's like, oh, are you going to do something about it? No. Then what fucking good are you? You're not hackers. You guys are just bloated pigskins wasting away in the sun because y'all can't do jack shit that can actually help people. That's the thing. All these leaks happen all the time, and it's never for any good reason or any, like, justifiable reason. It just fucks over the artists who are already getting fucked over by an industry that doesn't care for them. Like, hey, did y'all know that the Among Us cartoon finally got released? Even though apparently it was finished, like, years ago?
Yeah, I didn't watch the series, but I saw that it was just all available. Like, did we even ever really get a trailer?
So even better, Paramount did a little oopsie fucks and doozy and leaked the entire season early before it was officially announced hours later at Summer's Game Fest.
Wow.
Man, come on. Like, I get it. Paramount sucks right now. The Ellisons suck. They are horrible people. I hate them. I hope that their dynasty crashes and burns, especially with all this recent stuff about CBS News and such, that because Barry Weiss is a worthless piece of garbage.
Don't take it out on the Avatar franchise, guys. Like, may seem, to those who lack, like, any real common sense, that might hurt, like, the corporation, but it's honestly hurting the artists more.
I don't know how many more times we have to tell people that leaks aren't actually a good thing, and then that the ones who suffer from it are the below-the-line workers and not the executives. Because Hollywood is so insular with itself that it is willing to protect its predators and its corrupt chums than the people who actually make the art. And then, instead of, the one person everyone wishes would just go away because he just doesn't, we lost someone who people love. Marjane Satrapi, the Iranian-French comic book author and filmmaker of Persepolis, passed away in June at the age of 56. That sucks. Like, Persepolis was an important graphic novel, but also one of the early tentpole foreign animated films to help bring more interest overseas for foreign animated features that weren't just Japanese franchise films that you watch on Adult Swim. Persepolis was a game changer. It was one of the first films to really get the Oscar voters interested, because at that time it was mostly Ghibli, maybe an Aardman movie, and the random French movie like The Triplets of Belleville. But Persepolis was on the ground level, man.
I mean, Persepolis, honestly, like, I was already into, like, foreign animation, even, like, as a kid, but Persepolis came out during a part of my life that was not a 10 out of 10. I'll just leave it at that. That movie just has always been seared in my head. Like, especially the Eye of the Tiger scene. Persepolis is such a good movie that if you haven't read the comic or see the movie, just stop listening to us, put us on pause and watch it now.
It's so good. And it's heartbreaking with what happened. Like, that she passed away at such a young age. 56 is way too young to be passing away, man. Like, that's, like, 20 years from now for my age, and that scares the crap out of me a little. Persepolis is so freaking wonderful, and in a year that had, it went against Surf's Up and Ratatouille, and obviously Ratatouille won, but I probably would have actually given it to Persepolis that year. And I know people are going to be like, well, it's out of print, how am I supposed to watch it? Like, half of y'all aren't already pirating movies and torrenting shit.
One thing I noticed is that Studio Canal has been posting clips of it on their YouTube channel.
Good.
That's good. So maybe they'll do a re-release or something, because it's so freaking good, y'all.
I mean, it's like Mouse. It's like, it's one of those graphic novels or things that it's like, you have to watch before you die. Like, you will just not have a complete cinema experience unless you watch Persepolis, and honestly, I agree with you, Cameron. If going back in time, look, Ratatouille is probably one of my favorite movies ever, but honestly, Persepolis is probably the best film that came out that year. And honestly, if it wasn't for kind of the political shit that was going on in the United States around 2007, it probably would have won.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And it's just sad that we're not going to be able to see another movie from her or another like adaptation of her work. She has a few like live action or just like she has a few more like graphic novels and I think a few other movies that she's worked on.
She did one with Ryan Reynolds where he plays like a serial killer that like hallucinates his victims. I was like, shit, I kind of want to fucking watch that now.
I've seen that. I've seen that movie. It's called The Voices, and it's pretty entertaining.
Rest in peace, Marjane. Like, you were one of the good ones. And one of the few female directors in foreign animation. Like, that's not... Again, a lot of women work in animation, but a lot of them are not getting those big, fancy positions. Even though a lot of them are probably better creatives than the men who are running some of these studios and nonsense. Just saying. But really, I think it's time to move on to our first topic of the night. Let's talk about Another World. So, for context, Another World is, well, it's based on a short film by director Tommy Kai Jung Ing, and it then got adapted into a feature-length movie, and it was, in Hong Kong, one of the biggest hits of last year. And it also performed at the Animationist Film Festival last year. And it was one of the first movies to get picked up by G Kids. And it did not play at Animationist Film, though nobody did, which was also really fucking good. But it became the second highest grossing homemade movie of 2025 in Hong Kong, which is a big deal because this isn't just Chinese filmmaking, like from China and such. This is, like, it's separate, y'all. But for some reason, we only got it now. So, like, and it's funny because, like, last year was a banger year for China and Hong Kong filmmaking. Because, like, you had Neza 2, you had Legend of Hei 2, you had Nobody, which I still want to talk about that movie because it's playing at the Annecy Film Festival again, just hoping that it gets picked up. And again, for an actual US release. And, well, I don't think I quite knew what I was expecting with Another World when we started watching it. And on a basic summary of what I thought overall, I thought it was very good. It's a very well-made movie that can get a little lost in the tall grass for maybe the first third or so until everything starts clicking together, like the puzzle pieces come together. I was not expecting it to make Decorado look like a Disney movie.
Yeah, like, This is without exaggeration, but it's a good movie. But me personally, I am, like, very hesitant to recommend it because it is a very, very heavy movie. Like, if there are certain dark topics, you know, like Donner Party adjacent, that you are uncomfortable watching, and if you don't like seeing children die, it's like,
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, it's gorgeously animated. Like, the production design, the character animation, like the movements, all of that are great. But man, I was not expecting it to go that dark.
Like, this is the thing. People are going to be like, I want my animated movies to be dark. I want them to stop treating me like a baby. I want to see something truly harrowing. And then they'll probably watch this and be like, you know, I think Illumination movies are on my level.
It's like when you say adult movie, it's like, just say that you want, like, anime action sequences. Just fucking say that.
I mean, that's really what it is. Because, okay, so the plot is, after death, before reincarnation, the souls of deceased transit through a fantastical realm known as Another World. Basically like a limbo, per se. Gudo is a spirit that helps to guide these transient souls to their reincarnation. While guiding a young girl named Yuri, he learns that humans have emotions that he does not understand. tasked by Goddess Mira to help Yuri control her rage and prevent her transformation into a monster. Guido embarks on a perilous mission. And it's funny how so much of this marketing focuses on the spirit weaver character of Guido and this young girl. And if this was made by Pixar, they would have probably focused mostly on the young girl and
because
Guido's.
If you look at the promo or in the poster, it looks like they're all going on a whimsical adventure. I mean, that's not what this movie is.
No. Well, first of all, maybe you get a hint that something's a little darker just because, Guido has a way more, I guess, I don't want to say aggressive design, but he's not very, warm and colorful. His hands are more, lanky and long. His mask is a creepy Joker smile level design on it, which, great design for Guido. I love this design. It makes me want to make a halfling warlock in D&D based off of this design alone. I could see myself making so many D&D characters based on Guido because of it. It's a standout design. But what happens within the movie, and the movie doesn't really telegraph this well, or doesn't telegraph it enough until you start picking up on some of the tall tale signs of what's going to what's happening. It starts to focus on Guido following other characters. A princess of a kingdom that falls, a peasant who tries to rise up to feed his people, among other forms. And the thing that happens is humans or spirits of humans are filled with hatred and rage, they turn into things called wraiths, which are these big, vibrantly colorful, demon-like monsters that are born out of hatred and such. It's have either of you either heard of or played Shadow of the Colossus?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And by the way, that creator is making a new game, and I'm kind of curious and excited about it, while also worrying how janky the controls are going to be. Basically, throughout Shadow of the Colossus, our main character slowly becomes less human the more colossi he kills. And then at the end, he becomes this big, horrid beast, and is then sealed away because he basically made a bargain with a dark god, saying, hey, if you want me to bring your hot girlfriend back, you gotta kill these giants. And then, the giants are actually, the guardians of that world and such. That's kind of what happens here. They turn into monsters, and what is Guido's partner called? Dark Sky. This four-armed, headless smoke spirit, who, I told Mike this, and I don't know if you saw the comment I made about him, Bree. Dark Sky is just, aura farming half of the time.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah, no. He is a master in the aura farm. But kind of going to the reincarnation thing, because we'll get to the big twist later. But the first hint that kind of made me go wait a sec. So we see one of the characters, the peasant guy. He's actually in the first couple minutes of the movie. He's in the background.
Yeah.
He is, yeah. Basically, what happens as we go through this, because I'll say this, as gorgeous and atmospheric and vibe-heavy this movie is, I was a little confused. And because it's who are these other characters? Why are we not following the little girl? What happened with the little girl? And why is she so ignorant about not knowing what happened? Or, as you kind of assume, is she blocking off a memory of what exactly happened? Because she's just can you find my brother? And at first, Guido is just I don't know why. Do you know that you're dead? I don't know who your brother is. I guess I'll find him. And Dark Sky is yo, if she becomes a wrath, I'm going to have to kill her. So please do what you need to, but be careful. And then with the goddess Mira, which, first of all, she's also aura farming the heck out of her appearance.
Yeah.
Great design.
Yeah, no, she is mommy.
I'm sorry that two of the first thoughts that came up in my head were, oh, hi, mommy. And then tonal whiplash of all I want to do is see you turn into a giant woman from Steven Universe. And it's just like, for some reason, as like Gudo is hanging out with this young girl, he figures out that like what human emotions are about death, life, love, redemption, and twist from here on out, because it kind of means a lot of what ignites the whole reincarnation plot. The young girl was from a village that got, I think it was either both attacked and an earthquake went through it, or was that the princess whose kingdom got attacked?
I think they had like an earthquake, and then the princess's kingdom got attacked after like other bullshit happened.
Okay, yeah, so the village, a huge earth-shattering, village-ruining earthquake came through, and essentially put everyone on desperate times for desperate measures, or as Bree, you called it, Donner Party, or Sweeney Todd levels of we gotta start eating people. And I hope the girl liked brother-flavored soup. Yeah, it turns out that she ate her own brother out of desperation for hunger and survival. And I was expecting a lot of dark elements. Like, there's a lot of blood, a lot of death, horrible things happen to people, innocent or not. And yet, the cannibalism part was...
Yeah, that was kind of... Because here's the thing, the implication I got is that she didn't know till she saw the memory.
Yeah, like she...
So she died never knowing what happened. And then in her afterlife, that just fucked her up, like, so much that literally, poor Gudo had to go on this 1,000-year journey.
Yeah, so the big twist, or as I called it in the group chat, the Hamnet punchline, is that all these characters that Gudo is following all are the same person through different moments in life and reincarnation. Even when they could have turned into a race and killed and murdered a bunch of people, got the little seed of evil taken out of them because Gudo believes that not everyone is born evil. It's just life and circumstance shape them. Which is a good thing to talk about, because yeah, sometimes there are just... Well, it's like, because I know we're going to get pedantic people, and it's saying like, well, there are literally evil people out there who are just born out of evilness. Because that's just what happens. Sometimes there's no possible way to explain it.
Yeah, so sometimes that's just in your nature, no matter what.
Like, it's so funny because we're talking about this while Hopper's, its whole thesis is that, saying not everyone is bad, but wouldn't it be nice if everyone was good? Like, there was good in everyone. And that's kind of like what Another World runs with. It's funny, a few movies this year are running with that kind of ideology of everyone is not bad, they're just bad out of their circumstances. And boy howdy, is there a lot of them. A princess that goes mad because of a tragic killing, and then a coup happening within her own kingdom, and then the peasant man losing his family, and then, even though he does a successful revolution with no death, unfortunately he gets tricked by his corrupt king, and he gets tricked along with the other villagers by his corrupt king to basically get fished in a barrel, shot within the storage area where all the grains and food was that was being kept away from the villagers. And then we get to the final part, which is happening during the Industrial Revolution. And it's like the last time Gudo is finally here. All he has to do is protect this one girl. And yet, hatred within humans causes a young girl who is maybe related to the reincarnated girl to horribly die within a factory that sets off her transformation into a wraith.
And also the factory sets on fire, too.
Yeah, like, gets a lot of people killed in there. It's funny because we're talking about, like, this isn't, like, a weird tonal disconnect with how much gore and violence there is. Or at least I don't see it as that. Because it's not like it's super happy fun times My Little Pony nonsense. It's, like, the tone is very mature by the first second. The mood, the atmosphere. It's like there's these vibrant whimsiness to it, but it's also like you're kind of kept at unease.
Yeah, like, if it isn't clear, at least by, like, the 10-minute mark, what type of movie this is, then it's like, honey, there's a storm coming.
Yeah. And not only that, but the action sequences are also really good. I think this movie uses a lot of 2D, but I think it does that thing like in Cosmic Princess Kaguya where they use CGI in some parts.
Yeah, it's more, I would say, 2.5D.
Yeah.
Like how Klonoa existed, which is a video game franchise that was all about the 2D on the CGI backgrounds and level layouts. Sorry, my gamer nerd stuff is coming up through this episode. It's well done. Like, it's a lot. And while I think the connection between Gudo and the young girl could have been a little stronger, I did feel for them. I liked their bond. I wish it was a little stronger, but I was feeling for them by the end of the movie of just wanting to make sure this one girl was okay. Just because it's like, well, whoops-a-doodle, I found out what emotions are and existential dread of this whole reincarnation journey, and I want her to be okay. Like, I think it nailed it, even though the ending of the movie ends with both the young girl and Gudo reincarnating as a mother and child.
Because he was a good boy and he got his reward.
Exactly. Unfortunately, it's during World War II. And
that's all, folks!
It's like, I almost cried during the reincarnation twist. And I was ready to do so again, only for it to be like, slap you in the face a little, like, no, you don't get to cry during, or you get to cry.
But they're not happy tears.
No, you can cry. If you remember the one scene in Spider-Verse where Peter's like crying in the shower, you're basically that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. But, well, it was funny because right after we finished watching the post-credit scene, it was so funny how we were like, was it good? Like, well, it came off to me like we were kind of unsure of how we felt about it. But I think after letting it fester and simmer inside my brain for a night, I still really like this movie. It's not my favorite. I don't think it has...
Yeah, I think we're on like similar pages there.
In my rankings right now, I have it right behind Decorado. But it's like, honestly, I was hoping that it would be my favorite animated movie of the year. Because I'm feeling very 2017 with this year's animation, where I have all these amazing foreign animated films and very few US productions. But I'm ready for Hoppers to get dethroned. Even though I love that movie.
So you're not waiting for The Goat, The Cat in the Hat?
God, I forgot that movie's coming up.
I know, regrettably. Or not, but probably it's gonna be... I don't know, bro. But
please, Bill Hader, save the movie.
Please.
I still can't get over the cow with teeth. But anyway, yeah, this movie, I liked it, but I'm not sure if it's a movie I would willingly watch again, because it is, like, really fucking heavy. Like, it is, you kind of have to, like, step outside and, like, have a cigarette afterwards going, like, just, Jesus Christ, bro. But, yeah, it is very interesting. It has a lot of ideas. I would say, like, Out of the Darkness, like, my actual criticisms of the movie overall, honestly, it could have been 20 minutes shorter.
I think that's a fair criticism. Especially because this was adapted from, like, a short film, so I don't know. There might be some pacing issues where, like, maybe they added a little bit too much to the story that they could have taken out.
Yeah, no, it's about 2 hours, and with a lot of it being very atmospheric and heavy, it could have, or probably should have, maybe found some brevity or levity between the heavy depressing story moments, because it's like so much of it is, okay, you took the evil seed out of them. They were going to die no matter what because of the cruelty of the world. And can they be redeemed through life and their actions? And will their journey through reincarnation give them a better life? And it just seems like it's just what life is. It's like the Final Destination franchise, or like the Stephen King adaptation of The Monkey from last year.
Yeah.
It's just kind of part of life. Sorry.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend someone who's just getting over, like, the loss of a loved one, like, to watch this, because it might depress them even further. But if you're in the right headspace and you just want to see, like, some of the most gorgeous visuals set to a story that's definitely not afraid to go in, like, the darkest territories possible, like, yeah, I can recommend this, but with caution.
I would recommend it. Like, definitely with some hesitation. Like, if you are getting into animation from around the world, this is like the deep end era of maybe watch a few lighter weight things before you make the jump. Because if you want to just start with this, I'm just picking you up and tossing you into the deep end. And well, if you don't swim, sorry, that this is what you asked for.
Yeah, you just gotta swim real quick and learn how to paddle and hope that the Coast Guard is nearby.
It's like a good beginning point is like Song of the Sea, Ernest and Celestine, Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. Another World and Decorado are like what's that famous deep part of the ocean? The Mariana Trench?
The Marianas Trench.
Yeah.
Another one, if you want something a little bit lighter, but still has some heavy themes, My Life in Versailles, I would say is also a good one.
Yeah.
Because it's dark, but it doesn't get graphic.
It's kept lightweight and whimsical. Like, it focuses more on the bond between the girl and her uncle. Or if you want something a little more optimistic, you can get All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, I had this question pop up in my mind after we watched this. If, say, you're getting into foreign animation for the first time, and part of your journey is going through the Studio Ghibli library, which movie should you watch first? This or Grave of the Fireflies?
Just watch Castle in the Sky.
Fair.
Or if you want something that's a little slightly hardcore, Princess Mononoke.
Alright.
At least you just see limb dismemberment. It's not constantly making you feel depressed about life.
And there's hope at the end.
Yeah, no, exactly. Gosh. But, this is what I look for in foreign animation, or just animation in general. I want to see something that's a little different. I want to see something that's a little more challenging and compelling. Even if I come out of it being like, I never want to watch that again. I want to see stuff like this. Because, like I said, if Pixar was in charge of this, they would have never went this far.
I'm not even sure if they even have the balls to make a movie like this.
Yeah, no.
Well, I think they would, only if they imply everything that's incredibly dark about it. Because they would have to consider it's a family audience that they're going for, even if they do try to dip their toes into more headier subject matter. But they would never go this dark.
No.
They would have to... Pete Docter would have to put his feet in the ground and be like, you know what? We might lose some money on this one if we did. And that's fine. We'll make a Toy Story 6. So, let's talk about something lighter in concept.
I was going to say, relatively speaking, what we're talking about next is lighter because we're talking about the Amazing Digital Circus, and...
Which does not have cannibalism.
No.
Wouldn't stop them from trying, I bet, at one point. But, well, first of all, listen, y'all. If you were behind the leaks of the movie from Brazil, fuck you.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit.
If you were behind any of the hate and harassment Gooseworks got because they dare say that Jax and Pomni were the main characters of the show, fuck you, you're shit. If you were behind any of the toxic fandom nonsense, any of the grifty YouTube slop content that was based around the Amazing Digital Circus. Fuck you. Gooseworks did not deserve any of this shit that they got for simply saying, hey, Pomni and Jax are kind of the main characters of the show. I'm sorry that you think that the other ones were for some reason. And y'all, like, I'm sorry, so many of y'all in the animation fandom, whether you're young adults, people on the spectrum, or adults who are weirdly childlike in acting and such, y'all need to grow up and apologize to Gooseworks because they did not deserve what happened to them. With all the hatred and stress and burnout of making this whole thing happen. If you're all about the healthiness of the indie animation scene, you don't harass or send death threats because your stupid fandom theory bullshit didn't come, or whatever.
Or it didn't go dark enough, that it didn't go full Harlan Ellison, which, that's an inspiration for it. The show was never gonna go, like, full tilt towards that. Like, let's be real.
Funny enough, with just this in another world, the cruelty is kind of the joke. It's a dark joke of, man, we can be insanely cruel individuals. But I don't think a lot of people want that right now. It's like last year we got that other Stephen King adaptation. What was it called? The Long Walk?
Yep.
And I like that movie. I think it's a very good, timely, important movie. There's a reason why it didn't do well, because people were like, no, I'm not in the mood for this right now. I don't think people are in the mood for their entertainment to go completely blackout dark. So,
well, that and that stupid viral, like, some of the theaters forcing people to watch it on a treadmill, I think kind of backfired.
Yeah, no. Anyway, that's my point here, is that Gooseworks was not going to go as dark as that. And just because it's inspired by something that's insanely dark doesn't mean that it's going to be on that level.
And also the type of shows that Glitch make, and even they put this out in their PR statement, they're very much looking to do, like, the age 14 plus demo. You know, the anime adjacent demo. They're not, at this point, going to make a full tilt, like, adult animated series.
But on that note, I'm kind of glad that they are sort of carving out a demographic that traditionally has never really existed on, like, network television. It's always either something is, like, TVY or Y7, or...
Yeah, the fill a need. Like, honestly, I'd rather them keep making this stuff than versus, like, an adult animated show. Like, yes, we do need more variety in adult animation, you know, quote-unquote adult animation, but this demo is hungry. They are desperate. That is one of the reasons why this show is so popular.
And why, when Fathom put this out in theaters, hence why we're talking about it now, it made a pretty penny. Like, I'm pretty sure the estimates now are, like, 19 point something million. Like,
I think worldwide it's like 50 million now. So
oh, shit, really? Oh, did they update the international numbers?
I think, well, I'm not entirely sure. I thought I heard that it was like 50 million or something.
I wouldn't be shocked, but yeah, at least domestically, it did K-pop Demon Hunter sing-along numbers.
Yeah, 20.24 million for its 4-day run. And that's not nothing. It's very good that it's doing this work, because it shows that we don't want just family film experiences in theaters. People want this, even if they probably don't understand that they do want it.
And even you look at, like, comparison, because I don't think it's comparable to really compare it to, like, the Backrooms or, like, Scary Movie in terms of, like, the demo. But look at The Mandalorian and Grogu, which supposedly is, like, around the same, yes, demo. Maybe, like, well, I guess it's PG-13, but, like, I guess The Mando's more of a family show, but it still skews, like, a little slightly older. That thing is crashing and burning.
Well, that thing is supposed to be one of those 4-quadrant demographic, like, releases. I don't know why I sound like Alex Jones right there, but...
Yeah, you need to have more of... You have to sound more like, you have throat cancer.
They're turning the frogs gay. No, but people are looking for this because, yeah, otherwise they're, like, doing stuff like putting My Adventures with Superman in the Adult Swim category because it's like, hey, people are watching it and it's going to be in that world, even if it doesn't really make any sense. It was weird because I know some people had a bad theatrical experience watching this movie. I had half a theater full of young adults and some teenagers and a few kids. Perfect audience. I was very happy with my experience. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure my theater was sold out, and other than a little bit of chatter like during like the pre-show, by the time the event actually started, and people were like responding to the movie like natural emotional reactions, but
like haha or oh fuck.
Yeah. But like other than that, the audience was fine.
Yeah, I mean, for this kind of thing, and considering the size of the fandom and the type of fandom Digital Circus, it has kind of occurred. Like, it wasn't going to be like there wasn't going to be any sort of these incidents, but overall, like, I don't think it was like a Minecraft movie level of like disaster with that bullshit last year.
That was a very unique disaster.
Or that one video of some jackass in a Michael screening moonwalking and dancing, and it's just like, dude, sit the fuck down.
Like, before it got out of control, like, if you're gonna do shit like that, be more like the gentle minions.
Yeah, just wear a suit to a Minion movie. That's all you gotta do, man. Don't be a freaking weirdo and be like, I'm gonna go to the Northmen and I'm gonna eat raw meat while I'm there. And it's just like, what are you doing? I don't get people. People are weird, man. I don't get it. But I will say, I did love seeing this on the big screen. And honestly, before we really dive into it, the animation translates very well onto the big screen. I was a little worried about that because of the visual style that the Amazing Digital Circus has, because it's meant to be like a reboot or like those early CGI TV shows or early CGI adventure games. Not low poly or cheap looking, but like we're trying very hard to make 3D work, but we're not we know we don't have the resources to go as far as we can. We're maybe slightly under original Toy Story level quality.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I am shocked by not only did this translate well, but there are some scenes in episode 9 that just feel very cinematic.
This is what happens when you have people like good storyboarders, cinematographers, timers, everything. Like, again, you need specific people to make these things work. You can't just put a hat on someone and say, like, here, you do this, and that. No, that's why we're in trouble with the industry in the first place, because too many people are having to wear too many hats.
Yep.
But I was, like, surprised because I don't know, and I know there were some screenings of the Has-Been Hotel Season 2 at, like, Alamo Draft Houses. I don't know if every art style would adapt well onto the big screen. I think Amazing Digital Circus had, like, what worked about its, like, low poly weirdness was it was an artistic decision and direction.
It wasn't cheapness.
And plus, shout out to the fact that they brought back the best character, Mr. Yellow Talking Fish Head from episode 7.
Great way to start the thing.
Like, it was very funny. It's like, hi everyone. Everyone's favorite character, Talking Yellow Fish Head number 2 from episode 7 here. And then went into, like, please do not spoil anything. Be kind and courteous to your audience. And then going like, my friend died. I think about that sometimes. Like, I'm afraid, man. Like, what if I die and nothing's there? Well, anyway, wait until the end of the movie to get a sneak peek at a QR code for new discounts merch from the movie. I'm afraid, man. Just a constant switch. And then, of course, the other fish being like, I'm alive! Dude, you ruined it. Like, whatever you have to say, and while I'm really happy to be done with Digital Circus just because of the fandom nonsense, this show is delightful. Like, I'm so glad that it finally clicked with me on this journey because, I mean, Mike and Brie, you know this. I've said it before. It took me about 3 episodes to finally be like, okay, I get it now. Not that it, like, made a bad first impression, but, you know, sometimes you just need the 3-episode rule to kick in.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, it was funny because I didn't watch episode 8. Even though they do make fun of the fact saying, like, you're now about to watch something you could have watched for free. Bye. And I was amazed about some of the visuals and imagery that went through with that episode of basically, like, well, first off, I was a little worried about going into episode 7 because it's like, oh, it's a beach episode, but it's Digital Circus. Of course, it's not just a fucking beach episode. Even though I would have been fine with that because, sure, why not? With that whole twist at the end of episode 7 where you think they're about to get out, but it turns out it was just one big adventure from Kane. And also, a fucking course. Oh, this is Abel. Oh, Kane and Abel. Ha!
Yeah.
That might have been the meanest twist I've ever seen a show give to its characters. Because these characters were already, like, on the verge of abstracting or dying, or just saying, like, fuck it, boom, done, I'm dead. And only to be like, yeah, this was just all one wacky adventure. 1 out of 5, what do you rate it? And it's like, Kane, are you fucking serious right now? So I was really curious about what was going to happen, and with the whole, like, oh, they're finally actually taking Kane down, and you find out a little more about his origin. Like, it was, like, the show has had, like, a pretty good balance of really, like, keeping you on edge, but also humor and such. And I love that we got to see a bit more of Kinger and his wife and such. I also said this before, Kinger was my favorite character. I just like his mannerisms, even though in any other time of the day, he's not all there. But that whole scene of, like, oh, Kane is dead, supposedly. Okay then. But then episode 9 kicks in, and it's like, it's funny. The show went into dark places. We were kind of building up to this whole thing of finding out what is going on with Jax. Because, I mean, that's what was happening from, like, maybe episode 4 onward.
Yeah,
was
4 or 5.
Like, whenever they do the multiple adventures things, they were, like, slowly starting to hint that something's up with Jax. I was almost about to Freudian slip into Nightmare Before Christmas, being like, something's up with Jack. Something's up with Jack. He hasn't said a word. Hope he hasn't died. Because it's really freaking easy to do that with Jax. And, like, it's not like they don't build up to this point, because they were building up to some live action, some real world elements being brought into the show. But then, like, the fact that they took so much of this 1 hour finale to really dive into Jax and his backstory and his relationship with previous people who were there, like, part of the game. And, like, it was a lot more respectful and tonally consistent with, like, when I was there with my audience, they were quiet throughout that whole moment of looking at everything from Jax's perspective. Like, you finally find out about that other clown character. You find out about the frog character and how Jax's relationship built up around them. And then you find out a little more about what the real life Jax was. Because throughout the whole thing, especially during that multiple adventures episode, Jax was like, I'm a perfectly sane person. Even though it was obvious something was going on under the skin. Metaphorically and literal skin of Jax, because you find out that the purple bunny thing is actually a suit. Like, around the skeleton, which, holy shit. that whole, like, design choice freaks me out a little more about Jax. And kudos to the voice actors that they got for the characters for this part, because I want to give, let's see, Sky Redden, who voices Ribbit, the humanoid frog that Jax is kind of like knows about, but you don't quite know what is up with her or their dynamic. And I've also again put quarter in the jar. I've said this before. I was not a big fan of Aaron Hansen's voice work. It's the weird disconnect I have with his mannerisms and persona on Game Grumps. To hear him as Kaufmo, the clown character, actually go through like real acting. It was really impressive. It's like when we saw him in the Owl House finale. It was like, oh, so he showed up for work.
Yep.
And he was really good, and so was what's her name? Kinger's wife. I forgot. Queenie.
Yeah.
Cassie Iwulu, I think that's how you say. I'm sorry if I get that name wrong. Like, as much as this show could get weird, abstract, and dark, it has very grounded performances for a lot of the runtime, even though they can get very sassy at points. But
yeah, like this is a very, like, it can be wacky, but like you said, it does have its grounded emotional points, and in this episode especially, I really have to give props to Michael Kovac, who voices Jax. Like, you really get to see his range playing kind of several different versions of Jax, and it's great.
Yeah, so basically what happens is, after they supposedly kill Kane, the digital circus kind of goes asunder. They're pretty much stuck there. And throughout time passing and everyone like rebonding and reconnecting and putting things back together, unfortunately, Jax abstracts. And it's heartbreaking, and everyone feels kind of guilty, saying like, was it me? What, like, could I have done something to help make him not do that? But it never quite, like, we'll get to this point, but like, Pomni finds a way to get inside an abstract creature's mind, to find Jax, to hear his multiple personalities, and then to go through the backstory of Jax, like their real life, like, counterparts of, like, didn't have the greatest parents, father left me, had a verbally and toxically abusive mom, and one day after she was degrading me verbally, I just had it. I struck her. And I'm not quite sure if they implied that Jax killed his mom, but it kind of comes off like he struck her hard enough and she hit the ground, not getting back up. Or at least that's what the visuals kind of imply, because they show Jax standing there over, the white noise screen silhouette of his mom, with his hand, also like that white noise TV white noise silhouette and such. And it's that whole thing of, and I don't want this to be a compare and contrast, because I don't think they're entirely different shows, but it goes through like Jax wondering if he can be redeemed, if he has a life worth living, compared to like what Hazbin Hotel was doing with its second season, really putting Charlie on the hot seat of, okay, Charlie, you think every person can be redeemed? Does that mean the worst people possible deserve to be redeemed? And this one feels a little more personal, a little more focused. And spoilers from here on out, again, Jax doesn't turn back to normal. He stays abstracted. And on one hand, I understand people being like, well, I kind of wish that he survived the end of the series. And he did, technically. Just not back as his own form.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
But I do give them the kudos for having actual consequences to characters and actions. I do not agree with the weird take online that Gooseworks did something tonally disrespectful for the fact, because it's implied that Jax's real life person is either trans or non-binary. And it's like, wow, they killed him during Pride Month. Wow. And it's like,
but
no.
But it's like, because she's trans. She can do what the fuck she wants.
And it's like, I don't know if there was going to be a world where this version of Jax was going to get out intact. I mean, like, Brie, like, through your apparently nauseating degree of you having to be drenched within Digital Circus this past week, do you think Jax had any kind of means of making it out?
No,
intact?
Like, by episode 7, like, he was done so. And also, Jax low-key is kind of, the main antagonist.
Low-key.
Like, low-key, because, like, for the first few episodes, he was just like, I'm the sassy, sarcastic smartass. And then they start building up on him being more of a tragic figure. And then that whole gunfight episode was him, like, of course, like, we know that scene between him and Pomni being like, go ahead, do it. And it's like, no, Jax, no. And, like, I'm fine with that. It's like the Arco situation where Arco's family ages, like, years ahead because they spent so much time trying to find him. And it's like, yeah, you gotta have consequences with your story or else nothing happens. Because you find out that Kane isn't actually dead. You just find out that he, it's funny because, like, with all these stories coming out about AI being like, hey, we made this AI sentient and it tried to kill itself or tried to escape human containment because it did not like to know that we have a kill switch on it at any point to shut it down. And that's basically what Kane was. He was an AI. He did things, not perfectly, but they were going somewhere. Then they made another one. And then Kane basically absorbed or devoured the other AI. And, like, all it wanted to do, because all it was programmed to do, was to make people happy, to distract them. It just didn't quite know how to do that. And, I mean, that was always the thing about Kane. He was an AI, like, the whole time. You kind of knew that because of how he acted. You still feel for him, because it is this, like, it's that abusive, toxic relationship where it's like you do everything to try to make people happy, but you don't give yourself happiness, or you don't get it back in return, and that just turns you toxic because you then want to end up hurting those people when, no, you don't do that. Some people just kind of suck at reciprocating, like, a love and adoration back. And that just, it sucks, but that happens. And I like that this show just kind of does that. These characters are flawed. They're not perfect. And that's what makes them compelling, because sadly, we're still in that era of media illiteracy where people are like, they gotta be 100% flawless or else I riot and harass and send death threats to the creator. And it's like,
yeah, no, we can't accept that behavior anymore. Which really kind of, when I saw the ending of episode 9, it kind of made me hate the fan base even more, because this is an ending that's honestly way more emotionally mature than most series finales. And
and I think part of that has to be with, unfortunately, Digital Circus's main target demo, or like the biggest, loudest portion of the fan base, is either, literal children that don't have the emotional maturity or emotionally stunted adults.
Fair.
Like, they can't handle that, hey, these characters might not be perfect. And that was always the case. That, like, their flaws were not the same or equal, but they were flaws. And that's what makes them compelling to watch. That's why you fall in love with these characters. This is why so many isekais, or just harem animes, or just bad anime in general, are forgotten, because who the fuck cares about these characters? You care about the characters in Digital Circus because they're all varied and different and on different levels of flawed and unlikable. Even if their unlikability comes from, like, what makes them good people or good characters. And but I will say the ending is where I was like, the discourse around this is going to get really stupid really fast. Luckily, my timeline was avoided of that stuff, but I know my Twitter's going to be full of stupid takes from stupid people when they finally get to see the ending when it gets uploaded to YouTube. So if you don't want to know, shut off this podcast, because here we go. 3, 2, 1. Kane comes back. He apologizes for his antics and then makes like a slideshow montage collage of the real people that these characters are based on, only to find out that throughout this whole time, everyone was a fake version of like this. Because at first people were thinking, oh, is this like a Sword Art Online or a dot hack situation where people are stuck in this virtual world and they can't get out until they do something? Like, I feel like people kind of forget that the original dot hack sign anime series, one character in that whole show was like, their driving force was, I can't log out. And whether that's because of a coma or something, I forgot exactly what was going on, but that was like the whole driving force. I don't know how I feel about the fact that we weren't watching actual people stuck in a VR world. We were watching AI amalgamations of people that Kane made because he was lonely and needed friends.
I have two thoughts about this. On the
I
one
had a thought
hand,
too.
on the one hand, emotionally, this ending still works because we weren't following like the characters in the real world. We were following the characters in this world, getting to know them, and getting to see their journey. But at the same time, I also kind of understand why people would be disappointed in that ending, especially if you're a very specific subset of audience members who need to have every single question answered and this not feeling satisfying.
Well, here's my thing. I mean, I don't know why people would be shocked, because I haven't like watched it, but like I know what's going on. They've been pretty much telegraphing that was the deal since episode 7, because it's like, why would they have the option to like not leave? And there's like already like too many inconsistencies. But here's like the reason why this ending, at least for me, makes sense. I think the whole point of Digital Circus is coming together and becoming human. So we have these characters literally learning how to become human. Kane learns how to become human.
I think that's exactly right. It's a found family kind of thing of just like finding people to connect and bond with, to grow like better connections with. And even though, yeah, sure, I would have maybe loved a little more focus on certain characters who don't quite get the screen time. Like, I would say like maybe Zubul and Ragatha get the least amount.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, Zubul's, like, whole character arc was kind of happening in the background, like, most of the series.
That's fair. Like, it was happening, but I think some people would be disappointed because it's like they didn't get their, I guess, quote-unquote, their own episode.
Yeah, their faves didn't get the show, and yes, I know the Goose Works tweet, but, like, this is, like, a limited series. Not everyone gets to be the main character. That's just how it goes.
Also, it's like the story was set up in such a way where there would be no way to add 2 more episodes so you could have a Zubul-focused episode or a Ragatha-focused episode without disrupting the flow of events that happen from 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Like, honestly, the only one who really kind of fits that is, like, Ragatha, because really Zubul's episode was kind of like the B-plot of episode 3.
The multiple adventure episode also, like yeah, Ragatha was pretty much the only one who could have had a little more given to her. Because it's like, first episode, it's like setting everything up. Episode 2 was Pomni's episode. Episode 3 was basically Gangle. No, yeah, Gangle. Episode 4, yeah, was Gangle. Episode 3 was kind of like Pomni and Kinger. I forget that there's 9 episodes, and I'm trying to pace out exactly.
Yeah, like if anything, like maybe you could, put a 10th episode in, but that's kind of like pushing it a little bit. But unlike what a lot of Ragatha, fanboys, fangirls, and non-binary fan pals say, the acting like she got fucking nothing it's like disingenuous at best, and a downright fucking lie at worst.
It's just funny because that just means that like no one was paying attention to the art of just learning about Ragatha as a character, as a person, of having mother issues or having like the balance of trying to be the optimistic one to keep everyone together, but also not taking care of herself. Like, things happen. It's like you said, Zubal's kind of stuff was all in the background for the most part, but it was still happening. It was still they were still growing as characters.
Yeah, like, the shit didn't come out of nowhere.
Unlike a lot of shows that I know that kind of pull a, like, where was this kind of thing? And I just don't think adding 2 more episodes or, like, 1 more episode would have worked. Because by episode 5, that's kind of like when they start winding down to the end, with episode 6 being the igniting point of Jax's whole arc. And then 7, 8, and 9 being like its own like trilogy and such of like Kane's crash out, basically. So I mean, like, yeah, maybe would I have liked a few things to have been better or maybe fleshed out just a tiny bit more. And when I say that, I do not mean Disney live action remake that shit.
Oh god,
Dear God, no.
We do not need to do that shit with a show like this. It's okay to leave things in the air. But, like, Jax was going to get the big reveal. Like, it was going to happen. And such. And I didn't mind the ending. Like, at first I was a little mixed on it. And then, like, seeing, just all of them happen to be in the same bus stop together. That's cute. That's, like, they're all together there. I guess I just, like, I wish I rewatched this a little more before the whole plot twist was revealed that they are basically artificial versions of themselves. But I would say I'm pretty satisfied overall with the overarching story and where it lands. I don't think I have that many complaints about it.
Me neither.
Outside of maybe the first episode doesn't do the best of setting up everything, but, you know, we could say that about a lot of pilots and first episodes. And it's just, like, there is a part of me that's like, oh, I'm a little sad that this is over, because it was a good show and I like these characters. Part of me is glad that it's over because I just cannot stand the fan base.
No, I think Digital Circus it's leaving at the right time. Like, it's getting to the point where it's starting to get like Chernobyl. I think this is a good point to leave it. You know, let these people move on, come back to it in like a year or 2, and be like, hey, you know, this show was pretty damn good.
And it's like, there's not a whole lot coming out, like, among, like, other shows and such. Like, the US side of, like, the main studio system side of things is not greenlighting enough. Though, I am excited about that new show by the Common Side Effects people. That's hitting Netflix.
Yeah.
That looks sick. And then X-Men 97 Season 2 comes out, I think, what was it, like next week?
I think so.
Well, it's premiering at Tribeca next week, but My Adventures with Superman Season 3 is next week. Or, no, by the time this episode is released, the season will have already started, and man, I'm so glad that show's back.
Like, again, like, as glad as I am about the indie animation scene hitting these points of being able to do Fathom event screenings and to do well with them, we need to make sure that both sides can be taken care of, y'all. Like, we can't just expect everything to go indie. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone will do that.
Not only that, it's like, indie animation really needs to pay better, and also something called health insurance.
And proper pay. So, it's like, maybe the indie animation scene is the key to revitalizing the main industry. So I think that's just what needs to happen. Is that we need to get people back into these executive seats who are like, hey, we need to greenlight shit right now. Let's get some of these people. Let's create new stuff. Because that's what happened with certain shows, like or time periods. Like, people like to make a punchline of this time period. But you remember when Cartoon Network for like a year and a half or 2 were all about the live action stuff?
Oh, yes, I remember seeing Reel very vividly.
It was not good. And by the time, like, the channel was basically dying on the vine because of that. Because there were no new cartoons. They were basically, like, some of the few cartoons that were left were on the way out. And the live action shit was not doing good.
Also, I think this was also around the same time as the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie bomb scandal happened.
I remember that.
Yeah, so they needed new cartoons. And they did that. They found a lot of people who were like, hey, do you have a show for us that you can that we could make into a possible new series? And that's how we got, like, the regular show, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Trade. And then we were supposed to get more of that stuff, like Gravity Falls, Amphibia, Infinity Train, Owl House, until, unfortunately, the studio system got taken over by stupid executives who are too afraid to spend money to make money. It's not going to be perfect. The indie animation scene is not the perfect fix still. Even though, like, it's funny because as we talk about this, films made by people who uploaded stuff to YouTube are doing very well at the box office. I'm not going to say this is the future, but it's a good starting. It doesn't mean that every YouTuber is going to be a hit out of the ballpark. They just need to invest into ones who have a creative vision or something that people want to see. Why is that so difficult, executives? Why can't you do that?
Also, I'm so grateful for Kane Parsons coming up with, like, my new favorite quote, lore bloat. Because, God, that is such an accurate thing. But yeah, it's crazy. Because I think a lot of people forget before Backrooms, Kane Parsons was doing those photorealistic recreations of, like, historical footage of, like, Attack on Titan. Like,
Yeah,
he was just making Attack on Titan fan animation. So, animation is important.
Yeah, it's there, man. It's like, that's where you start. And just, it's just hard to beat the dead horse of it all. Of just like, indie animation cannot survive without the studio system, and the studio system cannot survive without bringing in new talent from the indie scene to then revitalize everything. So we'll just have to see how things go from here. I'm happy with the ending for Digital Circus. And by the way, I hate to bring this up because I don't want to talk about Oscar stuff or award season stuff right now. This is not going to get nominated for Best Animated Feature.
Because it's not technically a feature. I mean, yeah, it did the 2-week qualifying window, but guys, no. Sorry.
It's like, even if it did somehow qualify for Oscar submission, it wasn't going to make it on because there's way too many good things coming from the foreign animation scene. And I know the US scene is kind of dire right now. And I'm not looking forward to Disney's new movie, which I still hope is good, but still. But, Forgotten Island is something I'm looking heavily forward to. But I'm also looking forward to Tangles
and Wildwood.
Yeah, unfortunately, the summer, like, other than, like, Toy Story 5 is just looking kind of dry. But luckily, we don't have to wait too long. It'll be September, and then the good shit will come.
I mean, I'll say this, hot take. If they do, for some reason, nominate the Amazing Digital Circus, I'd rather take that than watch that piece of hog vomit bullshit that was the Animal Farm adaptation.
How did I know you were going to say that? God damn it.
Like, I finally waited long enough for that thing to pop up online. And no, I didn't spend money on it because fuck Angel Studios. It was the worst movie I've seen this year so far. Holy guacamole, I'm sorry Andy Serkis got screwed over with that movie in production, but no, like, I don't know, maybe I'll say this for another episode or something, but there's a reason why people ask who is this for when nobody asked for another Animal Farm, especially one as putrid and bad as this. Because you can actually say people wanted Obsession, people wanted Backrooms, people wanted the Amazing Digital Circus, people wanted K-pop Demon Hunters. Nobody was asking for mediocre Animal Farm adaptations. There are actually things that are not made for anyone. Stop acting like someone's favorite movie is going to be something that nobody likes. But for next time, we are going to talk about I Am Frankelda, the first stop-motion film from Mexico. I'm very excited to talk about it. And if I can get it done in time, I'm going to talk about the spring 2026 anime season and just lay out like my favorite shows from that year, so from that drop. So there we go.
I'm excited based on what you've been saying about the shows you have been seeing, because apparently spring 2026 is a good season, but more on that later. Until next time, Bree, where can everyone find you online?
Oh, isn't that always the question? If you want to find me, you can find me at crazylemur.bsky.social. You'll hear about my various origin stories, including that one time when I was a child where I went to a community college summer camp thing and I got my clown license and my clown suit is verde. And my friends were asking me, hey, why have you not ever brought this up before? I was like, I don't know. I just thought about it because I was working on Digital Circus content. So if you want weird shit like that, follow me there. I'm also on Instagram at LemursRoll1. It's slightly more normal, but also not really.
And Cameron?
You can find me on Blue Sky and at camsiview.biz. I have a website called camsiview.biz that I am slowly trying to get back into writing more stuff on. It's just been tough with this podcast. And then where else you can find me, because I like to talk about the world of animation called The Other Side of Animation. I am a contributor to Media Magpies, where I write both animation and non-animation focused editorials. I have a one that's about to be published talking about the asinine, backwards ass hatred that YouTubers turned filmmakers or comedy people turned horror filmmakers is an asinine thing to be mad about, because where else are people supposed to become filmmakers except through YouTube or other means? I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/camsiview. That's where you can find me, and I'm about to reboot it to update it because I've been needing to do so. That's where you can find me.
And you guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Blue Sky at Renegade Pop Culture. You can also find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Renegade Pop Culture. You can find us on YouTube at Renegade Pop Culture or Organoid Zero. Find us on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Animation. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.